Hi, and welcome to the Ask Dr. Angela podcast with everyone's favorite OBGYN, Dr. Angela Jones. Have you ever been too embarrassed or shy to ask your own doctor about your, girl parts? Well, you've come to the right place to get straight answers. Feel free to ask Dr. Angela anything women's health related. Obstetrics and gynecology? She keeps it real. Pregnancy? She's been there, done that. Menopause? She'll get you through. Young or old, Dr. Angela's got you covered, girl. Now here's Dr. Angela.
What's good, people? This is Dr. Angela, everyone's favorite OBGYN, and I would like to officially welcome you to episode 257 of the Ask Dr. Angela podcast. I'm hoping that these podcasts are getting better and better. My team and I have been working with the quality of the podcast, specifically the sound quality. So this is really funny. And Michael, I know that you're listening to. My fantastic friend and podcast producer, video producer, Michael, is amazing. He's with Moon Lasso Productions. Shout out to Moon Lasso Productions. But anyway, ever since we moved into our new digs, we were trying to figure out what was different about the sound, the quality of the podcast. He's like, Ange, what are you doing that's different? And I was like, nothing. I'm just talking into the mic, rocking the mic like I normally do. And so I tried to order all this fancy stuff to put around the microphone to kind of improve the sound quality. None of it worked. And so we sent it back, got my money back. And so finally, I had Michael come over to my studio, which is basically my in-house office, if we're going to be completely real about it. And he was kind of tinkering around with my microphone. And he's like, dude, this is a really good quality microphone. What's the deal? And so I'm actually really embarrassed to tell you this, but I'm just telling you this because, we're all human and we do really ridiculous things. He turned up the microphone volume, and so I'm hoping that as a result of that, that fixed all the woes. And so we had a complete laugh, kind of like slap your knee, bend over, fall on the floor kind of laugh, because it was something that simple, completely ridiculous. I do not claim to be the most tech-savvy person in the world. So, Michael, not only do I think that the mic volume is correct today, but I also threw on a filter to see if that will help with the quality as well. You'll have to let me know what you think. Anyway, today's podcast topic is on postpartum recovery. I got an email from Kim, and this is what she said to me. Dr. Angela, I'm 5 weeks postpartum and still experiencing a lot of discomfort in my vagina. Everyone says that it takes 6 weeks for everything to heal up. My stitches still haven't healed. And like I said, I'm feeling a lot of discomfort. I know it's not all going to go away magically in just another week or two, which is why I'm concerned that something may not be healing right. My biggest concern is that I have this very uncomfortable feeling that something is coming out of my vagina. It's similar to the feeling that you get when you put a tampon in wrong and it's sticking out a little bit. Certainly, we all know what that feels like. This feeling started about a week after I had my son and still hasn't gone away or gotten any better after 5 weeks. It's so uncomfortable that I don't like being on my feet and walking around because that makes the feeling worse. I can also feel what seems like part of the inside of my vagina sticking out. I really feel like this isn't normal, and I'm worried that this feeling isn't going to go away. I'm supposed to return to work next week, and I can't imagine being on my feet all day with this feeling. How much longer is this going to feel like this? And is it even normal? So, Kim, this is a really great question. And certainly moms that are post-delivery, I'm sure, can relate to you. One of the things that you said to me that stuck out in my mind after I read this question was this feeling of something falling out of your vagina, and that it's worse when you're on your feet and walking around. The thing that immediately came to mind for me was you might have a little bit of prolapse, uterine prolapse. I'm going to assume that you probably had a vaginal delivery just based on what you said. Your uterus is still enlarged. I don't know how long your labor was or how long you were pushing, but that certainly is what it sounded like. The vagina, as amazing and dynamic as it is, and you guys know I love vaginas. I think vaginas are amazing. They're like my superhero. It certainly does take time to heal. The other thing that I don't quite know is, number one, how long you labored, how long you pushed, and if you underwent any significant repairs of the vagina, the cervix, etc., at the time of delivery. All of those things would come into play with regards to me answering this question. Like maybe you had a big laceration that needed to be repaired. These things can certainly take a little bit more time to heal than others. The 6-week rule, 6 weeks is typically when we see patients post-delivery or for your postpartum visit. That's a good way for us to assess that you're healing properly and that everything is returning back to normal. That's not to say that everything is going to completely be back to normal at the 6-week mark. And certainly all of your stitches may not dissolve by 6 weeks. Certainly it usually does, but it doesn't happen all the time. So by the time that you listen to this podcast, I'm sure that you've gone to your doctor, you've had your 6-week postpartum check, and the further out from delivery you get, things do start to revert back to normal, i.e. your uterus will shrink back to normal size, the vagina and the mucosa will be less inflamed and return to its normal state. But I can't even lie and tell you that your vagina is going to go completely back to normal, because after childbirth, I don't know that completely happens. So I'm hoping that you visited your doctor, that you're feeling better, that you're enjoying your son, and that you have made a fantastic postpartum recovery. Hopefully this has lent some help and addressed your question. Sometimes the postpartum, recovery course is a difficult one. So again, Kelm, I'm hoping that you've reached out to your doctor and, he or she has addressed any concerns that you had. Thank you so much for reaching out. That was a fantastic question, and certainly one that I know that a lot of us have had or were wondering about. If you all out there listen to this, have a question or a topic that you want addressed on the podcast, reach out to me, www.askdrangela.com. That's AskDrangela.com. You can click on the question mark and type your message that way. You can send me a direct email or a direct message on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook. I get them all and respond to them all. Certainly, sometimes it takes longer than others because we're just being bombarded with tons of questions from all over the world. Let me leave you with something that was published in the Wall Street Journal quite a while ago, but it really kind of caught my eye, and it's about failure and not being afraid to fail. So this is what was published in the Wall Street Journal a while ago. R.H. Macy failed 7 times before his store in New York caught on. English novelist John Creasy got 753 rejection slips before he published 564 books. Babe Ruth struck out 1,330 times, but he also hit 714 home runs. Don't worry about failure. Worry about the chances you miss when you don't even try. Thank you so much again for tuning into today's episode. Until next time, look better, feel better, be better. Can't wait to reconnect on episode 258 of the Ask Dr. Angela podcast.
Thank you for listening to the Ask Dr. Angela podcast. For more information on women's health and the show notes for this episode, please visit Dr. Angela at www.askdrangela.com. While you're there, don't forget to leave your own message for Dr. Angela. See you soon! All of the information provided and discussed in this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only and should not take the place of consulting a physician. This podcast is not intended to diagnose, treat, or cure any disease or illness and does not and should not replace treatment from a medical professional.